Hi again, Tyler with MedEquipmentDirect.com. Here with the CPAP machine. We're going to talk about the CPAP machine a little bit, but more importantly, some of the supplies and some of the maintenance that you're going to want to do with your CPAP machine. So we'll start here at the unit. This is a Remstar unit, System 1, made by Respironics. It might look different than your machine that you have at home, but a lot of them work exactly the same. One of the first things we'll want to do is address the humidifier. For this particular unit is stored underneath the latch for your unit at home. It might be in the front of the machine, might be on the side of the machine, the back of the machine, but like I said, it's going to be similar to this. We'll lift up the lid. Inside here is a water chamber. This one's important to clean. This is going to require daily maintenance, well, because it's a water chamber. Anywhere where you got stagnant water, you run the potential of harboring some infection. So regular maintenance to this is important. What you'll want to do in the morning when you're done using your machine is take your chamber out, and you want to get rid of any excess water that's left in there. So for this particular unit, we could just dump the water out. This one's also kind of unique because we can take the lid off and dump the water out this way. Set this out on a paper towel or a towel. You'll want to let it dry, evaporate dry. When you come back to use the machine again later in the evening, you'll have to refill it, but not before washing it. This one's particularly nice because, like I mentioned, you can pop the thing off. It's easy to get in here with the soapy sponge to kind of clean it out. You can also use a water and white vinegar solution, is recommended by some manufacturers. Some manufacturers just recommend soaking in soapy water, so you might want to read the specifics, but basically all of them are going to require some type of daily maintenance. Once this thing's clean, you'll set it out, you let the thing dry. When you're ready to use it again in the evening, it's set to go. You just add your fresh distilled water to it, and it's set to go back in there. As we follow the humidifier down the line, the next thing we're going to run into is... I got to get it put back together correctly. The next thing we'll run into is the oxygen tube. The oxygen tube is going to come right out of that humidifier. It's 6 feet long is the standard. Depending on your setup, you may or may have one that's a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. They do make some 2-foot tubings too to be used with CPAP heaters. But for the most part, this right here is what you get. It's a 6-foot tube. This is going to be bringing the humidified air from the machine to the mask to you. So just like the humidifier, we've got an area with high moisture, high heat. This could be a potential breeding ground for bacteria. So we're also going to want to address cleaning with this as well. What's most commonly recommended is a water white vinegar solution. So maybe in a separate bowl, you'd get a little bit of a splash of white vinegar to some water. I believe the ratio is 1 to 3 parts white vinegar to 10 parts water. If you don't want to measure it out, bowl of white water, splash of white vinegar, you're set to go. You'll get that mixture here into the tube. You can slosh it around back and forth. That's going to rinse it out really well, get rid of any buildup that's in there. You'll then run it underneath the faucet to rinse it well. Hang it on something when you're done to let it dry out. You'll want to let this completely evaporate and completely dry out. Once you've done that, it's dry, you're set again to go for another night's sleep. On the other end of the tube, that's our mask. This is a mask made by Respironics. It's an Easy Life. It's one of their newer masks, but it's not drastically different than any other mask that's been out there before. So like I said, just like your machine, what you have at home may look a little bit different than this, but they all work in the same premise. Every morning when you wake up, you'll at least want to go ahead and just wipe everything down with like a warm paper towel or a warm washcloth. You can also be a little bit more thorough, whether it be daily or weekly, with the cleaning on this by soaking it in a soapy water solution. So maybe a bowl with some warm water in it, a splash of some soap, you'll mix that up, you'll let this soak in there. What's unique about this mask and most new masks is we can actually separate the interface from the mask. So if we want to clean things a little bit more thoroughly, we will separate the cushion from the hard plastic. We can pull this off, and now we can either soak just this part in that soapy solution, or we can even actually get at this with a sponge or a paper towel or something and get in there a little bit more thoroughly. But at any rate, once you've cleaned this, just like your chamber, just like your tube, you'll want to pop this thing off, let it air dry, get ready to use it again a little bit later in the evening. Lastly, there's a filter on the machine as well. This will be something that you don't necessarily pay as much attention to as everything else, but you don't want to forget about it either. On the back side of the machine here, there's a little opening. It's kind of hard to see. Right here on the outside, we have a foam filter. We can pull this out. This is a large particle filter. This will stop most large things from entering into the machine. Behind that, there's a little white filter. That's what's called an ultra-fine filter. This is the filter that grabs your smaller particles. This will keep dust microbes and things out of your machine. These can be replaced once every 3 months. These are to be replaced once every month. Now here's the secret with these. The larger gray ones can be rinsed out underneath a faucet, and you'll want to do that probably once a week if you live in a dust-prone area, maybe even more regularly than that. But if you pull this thing out, rinse it out underneath the faucet, get all the dust and large particles off, wring it out, let it air dry, and if this stays clean, well, your white fine filter on the inside also stays clean. So you can really maximize the filters just by a little bit of regular maintenance, run it underneath the faucet, and you're set. So this is just a little idea of some of the different ways that you can keep your machine running better and running cleaner, more hygienic for you. All these devices are carried by us at medequipmentdirect.com. We also have a full stock of all sorts of other devices for different machines. So if this doesn't look like your machine, don't be discouraged. Send us an email, send us a comment, medequipmentdirect.com. Thank you very much.